Hi, folks, and welcome to another edition of Shop Talk Park Slope. My name is Nikki R. Thomas, licensed associate real estate broker with the Corcoran Group. And this evening, we are chatting with the owners of Enso, which recently opened on President Street. So I'd like to welcome Ankur and Nata. Hi, you two.
Hi, Nikki. How are you?
Hi.
Good, good. Excited to...
Good to meet you again.
Yes, good to meet you again, because I have actually nipped by the shop like a couple of times, and it is such a cute shop. So actually, speaking of which, let's go ahead on and kick things off. And could you tell people more about, what Enso Cafe is, like what you folks have to offer there?
Well, Enso is a cafe, obviously, and the point of Enso was not just to have a coffee as a cafe. And on a signature side, coffee is definitely a prime element in the cafe, but there are so many other things that revolve around it. The point of Enso, it started years back, somehow in the form of having a cafe and having a passion about coffee and the connection with coffee. But it did change overall in time, and as I came closer, it kind of changed quite drastically. With Enso, not just coffee, we combine the elements of organic natural tea from the tea leaves, which is basically all garden leaves and a bunch of forest called even bamboos and real pineapple, dried, dehydrated, and chamomiles, and there's so much more in there. We got 18 of them. And I think I would have tried probably more than 100 to filter it out to this 18 in the line. It was quite a fun adventure. So we just didn't just limit ourselves with the coffee, but also other elements like tea and pure cacao that comes straight from our Amazon partners. So we partnered very well from those areas. It was about the cup, basically. So what else is this Enso, which is basically the meaning of Enso comes from Zen Buddhism. I'm a very extremely spiritual person, internally connected with myself and universe. And I wanted to name something that was more meaningful, internally meaningful, not just to me, but to all the guests who comes in. And I said, back in days, all we did was had this amazing talk on a table with some kind of a cup, right? No matter what country or region or religion, which I don't like to mention, but no matter what territory you're coming from, whether you are enjoying that conversation with a cup of coffee or tea in many areas where coffee doesn't even exist. And I still remember this movie back in time, which is this lady serving cacao as a cacao medicine in a small little cafe. I can't remember the name of the movie. And I wasn't even looking for cacao while hunting with all those things. All these things kind of came to me, and it was just, wait a minute, I remember this. And I said, you know what, I want to have this one too. And say, you know what, we're going to name our signature cappuccino with Enso Special. We'll blend the cacao and the espresso together for that, and which came really good. Because I tend to not mix any of my beverages with sugar. I like to take it organically as it is. And this was just pure cacao beans and pure coffee beans, freshly coming from two different regions, and it felt like it was a perfect marriage from that area. So Enso was basically, the meaning of Enso from the Zen Buddhism is circle of togetherness, and also circle of enlightenment. So through these different forms of cups, where all these people coming together, and I'm in this, I chose now to be in this service industry with my beautiful partner Nata. I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. And all these elements kind of made sense, connected together, and that's where the Enso is also connecting together and circle of together, and that's where our circle, circle will always keep repeating. Everything has a connection to it, and so other than the beverages, we obviously, when we are sitting down, we wanna savor some of the other things. So we definitely kept in mind that, like, me and Nata was sitting down with one of our baker. I mean, we have 3 of them now. So one of our baker, and I said, you know what, I want a gluten-free cake. So she kept on saying, like, oh, I can make this cake for you. I said no, I want a gluten-free cake, and I somehow saw this this almond cake, and I was like, almond with almond flour and everything almond, we're gonna call it an almond flour, and that's where the almond flora and, like, me coming from all this background of all these designing and, back in days, kind of had always, like, this connection with, like, you have to name something so connectedly that without that name, it just kind of, like, it's just asking for it, like, as a name. So we had quite this interesting names to our cakes with almond flora, or we had this berry, and there were like bunch of berries in there. When that cake first came out, and it was like strawberries and blueberries in there with also gluten-free cake. And I said, this is going to be our berry bouquet, because it's just like so many berries, and they look like a bouquet. So things like that, like, we came along, and I believe now we have already increased 2 more items to our 3 existing cakes. So we came out into 5 now. And those 5 elements are all gluten-free. Not that that tag is like something like, oh, I'm against, like, I enjoy my bread as much equally. But there are certain elements to it that we really took very close care of, like, and we didn't want it too sweet at all. We said it has to stop. We practiced so many times until we came with that recipe. Like, I said, I totally clearly said, it has to be very simple. It has to be like a homemade stuff. It has to be gluten-free. It has to be very low in sweet. And it has to be like, I can eat this every day. And like I said, I don't take my sugar in my cup, but I do enjoy a nice bite on the side. And I think, the combination of and the dance of it in that manner is what that's been me. And I just wanted to offer that in the same way, even though, like, people do take their sugar in their coffee and otherwise, but I didn't want, like, every time I had been out, like, the jam or something or the other, whatever ingredients are used. I mean, people do a great job, but I just felt I needed to be at how I see and things should be to offer. And that's what I think everybody else does too, because that's their observation for it. So that was the whole collectedness of Enso, which started basically with the cup and everything else around the cup, which is our bakery section. Gluten-free is definitely a good sign that connects very well. I think the guests are loving it, and I love more of the part that they are actually coming back to really look for it. That they I can see it in their eyes, I can feel it. So that's a great feeling that I did do something right, in the sense of saying, what, we're still a baby. The Enso is still a baby, but I think I like the feeling of service of all the blends between coffee and tea and cacaos, and then this gluten-free bakery. And we soon to start our breakfast as well. We're working on it, but I feel better that in 2 months short time, whatever our guests are complementing between all the elements, whether it's bakery or tea and coffee, I feel blessed that I'm on the right track, and I'm connecting them with well, and I'm giving them a good service, so they can feel themselves as I feel what Enso should make them feel.
I did not know that you had so many teas. Actually, yes. I did not realize that. That makes me very happy, because I'm not a coffee drinker. I can't drink coffee because I tend to be too caffeine intolerant. For the same reason, I can't drink as much black tea as I would like to, but I can still drink more black tea than I could coffee. But tea, I'm just kind of like, yes. This is very good to know, because honestly, Park Slope, I kind of personally feel has like a dearth of places where you can just go and get and have a wide selection of tea. There's a couple of cafes in the area that I think they have a nice selection, a quality rather of tea in terms of the tea brands that they've chosen to represent. But their focus, understandably, is on coffee and not necessarily tea. And there's not really a lot of places where you can go. And someone who's a tea lover can actually also come, and they have like a nice range of things that they can also select from. Like you actually mentioned like cacao. Is it with cacao? Is the cacao only in the Enso special that you've blended with the coffee beans, or do you also do cacao tea?
Our menu has quite a decent amount of elements. We also do our special signature board. We change it every time as well. But we also have cacao honey, which is very beautiful on its own. It is no blending. It is straight cacao, and we carry 5 different kind of honey, which comes from whether it's wildflower or orange blossom, and of course a blueberry blossom, and there are 2-3 more. We just got a buckwheat honey. So those ones can not only just be combined with your choice of tea, which we create any of them on spot. We don't keep it anything prepared. They sit on a 4-minute timers. The leaves open up, and we have a preparation tools and tips to do it. It's not easy. We went through a lot of hiccups regarding that to maintain the quality standard. We maintained very well after that, and we convert them to ice as you want. And we're now starting to infuse them with fruits, which is fresh fruits. We just started some of the organic syrups, which is organic flavors and they combine very well with tea as well. With the cacao, we are doing cacao honey, as I said. It's pure cacao, so the dose of cacao goes according to the size, and just like our cappuccinos. So we blend the amount that's required for depending on the size our guest is having. We also tend to combine. Today we have this amazing, lovely our guest, and he was like, "What do you think?" And he's a matcha fan. He's studying something on matcha. I don't want to name the gentleman. He's quite famous, but he was like, "I want your input in how would it feel if I was to combine matcha and cacao." I'm like, I said, I am open with all the experiments. I'm very open with that part.
That's a good experiment.
Yeah, I like to try. Something comes in. I tell Nata so many times. I said, I'm going to do this today. I just put on the board today. I said, super greens, lemon detox, because I love to have that part myself every morning. I love that super greens and mix it up with fresh lemon, no sweet, nothing, and shake it up in a nice cold water, and I drink it straight up. Gives me very cleansing feeling and experience. So I said, I want to share that too. So it's basically what I've seen and feel. And like you were saying for yourself, and I know that part myself very well. Even if someone who loves to drink coffee every day, there comes a point they want to kind of detox out of it, because it's a human body. We load so much, and then you can't just load your body with caffeine all day. You need fruits. You need fruits to kind of put all those juices and fluids inside your body. So I've gone through all this kind of physical, mental connection of human body, how it should be taken care of. That's why what I was trying to tell you in the first time is like I didn't want it to just restrict the Enso with only coffee, which is definitely a prime one of the prime area of the beverage in the cup. But it's a lot more than just the coffee, and that's hence where the tea and our fresh homemade lemonades also pop in, which are beautiful. And I've been drinking in my home kitchen and preparing myself for years, and I think that they're all very beautiful elements. But coming to the cacao, we are also working more on it. We're working every day on it. Cacao honey is a beautiful, soulful beverage. It's very cozy. It's especially in the winter.
Sounds like
cacao is warm, and guess what? There's no restriction to it. we convert these beverages to iced ones. So it's quite a different feeling when you. It's the same thing like when we are drinking hot coffee and come summertime, you want a cold brew. And yes, cacao can be taken care in the cold form in that shape as well. So we haven't tested that part yet because we entered in the time where we were entering the fall and the winter time. By the time, like I love to experiment these things as long as they are natural, and I like to blend them and make them dance together. We made a London fog today with rose, and it came out so beautiful. The whole, like I said, I don't take sugar in my cup, but I had it. And I wanted it, and I wanted more. It was the aromas were so good. So when I feel something like that with these beverages, I feel that yes, this is what I want to put in front of my guests. I want to give this because
you're trying stuff yourself, and you want to
because I feel these things from a different perspective, from my health perspective. Which one will be better for me? Which one is not better for me? I don't have to take the world inside my body, but whatever I take, I feel the sense of what do I feel after it, right? And how do I feel long term with it? So all those elements, matter a lot to me. These are small little things, and small little things matter quite big to me, and I feel blessed that it came at the time when I was actually enlightened with all those things, far better than 10 years back, which I kept writing in my notebook that I want to do this in my coffee shop or I want to do this in my cafe. But by the time I was made ready, it came with a lot of input that came to me from all different channels in time.
So how did you folks end up in the Park Slope location that you found? Was it one of the things that you were already eyeing Park Slope, or was it one of those things where like the right space just kind of came along at the right time? Because I know when I speak to different business owners, it tends to either be
yes,
a little one or the other. It's like either they were already.
It's a good question, and I would say it would be quite a common question for anybody to be asked, like why such location, why this neighborhood. No matter where they opened. So Park Slope, I live in Bay Ridge, so I'm very, very close by. And I love Bay Ridge. I love living over here. I'm right next to a park. I'm 2 blocks from the ferry and by the water. I can walk down and have a little relaxed walk in the park and go by the water and maybe take a little run, which I'm not a runner, but I try. But I always used to drive to Park Slope whenever there was farmers market or the Fifth Avenue, the street fair, and then I came across a couple of people through a friend who used to live there, and I spent some time in the neighborhood. Otherwise, to local dining and otherwise, and the way the people are in Park Slope, I felt very connected, and it was close to where I'm living as well. So it kind of made sense. I actually did initiate to open a cafe 3 years back, and I took a step back at that time. And I was actually dearly hunting in Park Slope at that time that I wanted to do in Park Slope. I was like, I didn't want to go even anywhere. But this time around, it was not just Park Slope. Park Slope was always dear to me for that part. The way people are, family, knitted, cultural, artists, and so many different, from different platforms coming together. Prospect Park gives me the similar thing too. But somehow I remained at Park Slope as a beginning channel, and maybe in future, who knows what's in the stars. But this time when I was actually ready, when me and Nata came together, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go for it. And that 3 year back that I took a step back, I said, this time I'm going in. So, but our first hunt, and we were very close to this space in Williamsburg, actually.
Okay.
But there were some areas, because this was our first one, and I was not. I started to get a little that fear energy about it. I said, I love it, but it's stopping me. And I asked myself, okay, I think I've learned enough. So what's stopping me? I said, okay, this is what's stopping me. I told Nata. She was out of town actually at the time. And I was FaceTiming her, showing her the place and everything. So she came back after 2 weeks, and she was out there on some work. And when she came back, I showed her physically. I said, listen, there's some great things about it, but there's one big hole, and I think that's quite a big hole. So I said, and at the time we were looking around still, it's like we had not signed anything. So all of a sudden, by the time when I expressed my that side, and while looking, and she sent me a link to this to President Street location, and I looked from the outside, and I said, it looks so
it's like a cafe already.
I said, it looks like cafe.
Yeah.
So I said, and I said Park Slope. I said, okay, it takes me back to where I started. I got to read between the lines. I got to take the sign for it, and it was a small space. I said, okay, it's a little too small. But then I said, you know what? It's cute. It's not on the main street. That's exactly what I wanted, if at all, in Park Slope. I didn't want on the Fifth Avenue. I said I wanted in that little side, so it has its quietness, and it just made sense. It felt right, and I said, you know what? Even though it's small, I said I think we can work this out. I asked her. I don't take this in without asking her. If she feels the same, then it's okay. So. That was that, and I said, you know what? It's our first one. I think everything is like a check. I don't feel any fear in this over here. And when I started to do the last countdown comparison with the other one that I felt right, I said, you know what? No, let's go for this one. I said, if I don't take the decision, I said, and I always wanted Park Slope, and I'm ending up in Park Slope. So, and we hunted in Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Bushwick. Mm-hmm. We saw a bunch of locations over there. We even saw one or two probably in Park Slope as well. But they were on Fifth Avenue. So nothing against Fifth Avenue. It's a beautiful space. I just wanted a little quieter side of it.
Yeah, you wanted something that, well, actually, I think that's one of the things that's really so appealing about your space is that it is somewhat tucked away. It's right there. It's right there, but it's tucked away. And so you have this little sense of even though you're very close to the action, you're away from it. So it's a bit more peaceful. So especially I think that if you're going for that little kind of place where people can go for a respite and really kind of relax and recharge and all this other stuff, or really connect with people and stuff. It's I think you nailed it in terms of the location and the
I said to myself at the time, I said, you know what, there's no perfection in that sense of, I said, you know what, I think I don't even, there was only one or two things that we kind of stopped at the point of what if, in that sense of this side location. The size of it was quite that factor for us to how are we going to, if we take this, the amount of sitting and all the stuff, and where is it? Even before taking it, we had already drafted the whole map, where these things are going to be. It's so crazy. And 90% of it was already the head was already we had drafted how the counter is going to be, mm-hmm. and how the sittings are going to be. Just only one sitting, which Nata came over. So that's great. That gives us. So again, with funny thing is when I was talking about Zen and Buddhism, and I have worked with so many Japanese back in my days, and when we went to some small Japanese places in New York as well, and I said, you know what? I said I said, the way this community and this country and these people have managed in such a small space, and it looks so like, then at that time, you don't see like in between how much walls you're sitting. And I went to this amazing place. It was definitely half the size, probably even less than half the size of our space. And they had reservations from breakfast till dinner time. And inside, they were sitting 2, 4, and then 2, 4. So technically, 8 people sitting was inside, and they had the whole thing in the outside as well. Probably another 12 people. They were managing 20 people reservations, only reservations. You can't go in without a reservation. And that's such a small space. And the people who were the chefs over there, they were not Japanese. They lived in Japan for a period of time, and how they do the things, and they learned the language and all those things. They were American cultural people, and that was an example. This was one of the examples that was, and we didn't go that place. I always used to pass by that place. So I want to step in to see what is this place. And when I got in, and at the time we had started this Enso preparation, and I told Nata, I said, I want to take you somewhere. I want to show you something. And I showed her, and I talked to her about how I knew and I know Japan and Japan. I've never been there, but I've worked with them a long time back. So that gave me another connection and kind of confidence. I wouldn't say confidence. I would say a sense of validation that, you know what, it's all the mind and the head that you feel that this space is small or it should be this space. I said, that is all commercial. Yes, it would be nice if you can do it, but here is your first venture. I said no to that location that I wanted for a certain XYZ reason, and that was 5 times bigger the location than this one.
Oh wow!
It had a backyard as well, and still we said no because we sensed there was quite some dry hole in there, and I said that we made a very good decision. If it was our second one, I would have definitely went in for that. But being the first one, so that small size, all that thing about the mindset, which I didn't carry. But when it's your first time you're getting in, you try to assure yourself 10 times more than otherwise. When you're second time, when the second time you say, oh yes, that's fine. I know how it goes. It's like having your first baby. You're so careful about every little thing. By the time the second one comes in and he says, oh, that's fine. It's a piece of cake. This one's crying. We know why it's crying, and all of those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, everything went in good order. We measured every single quarter of an inch to make sure every piece fits in the area where it's supposed to. The sinks and everything was it was one time I said, we are 1 inch short. I said, we are 1 inch short. Well, I said, so what do we do? I said, that sink is messing up everything. So, then our plumber came up with the idea. He says, oh, don't worry. If I do this, you get that kind of space. I said, you're the best. I said, that's fine. Let's go for it. So there were some small hiccups, but it was fun.
Yeah. So to wrap things up, actually, one of the things I want to point out, because you were talking about your space, I kind of want to end the interview with let folks know that your space is actually available for rental, correct? So people can actually rent out the space for private events, right?
Yes. So, it's so funny that all these things that I had been writing, I would want to do this. One of the elements when I was putting myself in the nose, how I want to become in a cafe is connecting with artists. I think the artists, and especially now being in Brooklyn, I wasn't in Brooklyn at that time. And now being in Brooklyn, it becomes even more sense that why not? Everything is art. Making a beautiful cup of coffee is art. Now we talk about latte art, so I'm not going to go there. But what I'm trying to say is, when it's about connection, I'm just trying not to limit in the sense it's about connection. The Enso is about connection. These artists can bring their own connections over there. It's not about like me wanting to have connection to expand just for that. It's like we do things together. It's a circle of togetherness. That's what Enso is. That's what I feel. I carry that feeling. Enso carries that feeling. Me and Nata together is Enso, and these guests are Enso. So someone asked me once, and said, "Who's Enso?" I said, "You're Enso." So I said, "I'm Enso." So then I had to tell him what it is. I said, not to take it so intense, but it is about connecting together. And we are in a place now where everybody is in those kind of their own journeys. So anybody who wants to utilize the space and make their own place, and so as their own place for whatever period of time, the doors are open. We welcome everybody to use it. We'll cater however we possibly can, ourselves or whoever our catering persons is going to be. But we are open for the community and everybody, artists or otherwise, kids with their birthdays, no matter what the ceremony is. They can come and enjoy our small little space, and we would love to accommodate everybody.
That's so great. So great. Well, thank you folks so much for joining me this evening to tell me more about this magnificent cafe. Clearly, there's a bunch of teas there that I need to try.
You're welcome anytime, Nikki.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, once again, thank you so much. So actually, can you give folks the exact address on President Street?
Yes. So Enso Cafe is on President Street. It's 665 President Street. We are right next to the corner of Fifth Avenue. Hard to miss. It's quite a decent, good sign. So we'll see you soon over there.
And also the Instagram, so that way folks can follow you and keep up to speed with all the cool stuff that you have going on and rolling out.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Our Instagram page is enso.ny. It's a small little page right now, but we look forward to have you over there.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that some influencers are going to discover y'all relatively quickly, and then maybe that page won't be so small.
We just want to keep on going, and hopefully we will take care of it, the rest. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ankur and Nata, so much for taking time out of your evening to be with us this evening. And folks, I will see you next time on the next edition of Park Slope. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Nikki.